Welcome to our coverage of touching spirit there. Today, we will be historian Vanelli, your regular show. We should be on chapter 26. Oh, let's check this. Yes, chapter 26. Move to the it is chapter 26. So, here's 26. Now let's take a look. That evening, Cole fixed his favorite meal for everyone. He chopped hot dogs into spaghetti sauce. He told me to, okay, I cannot take this. So I don't get sick. Okay. Okay. He told the group how Garvey had taught him that life was a hot dog. Tonight will be a feast because we'll make it a feast, he said. As he cooked, it began raining. Everybody retreated in the small cabin, sitting on the bed, chairs, and stumps that Garvey carried in. When Cole finished preparing supper, he spread the towel on the small table. He explained the colorful blanket's special meaning. I only use this when I need extra special. When a night is extra special, rather, he said. Now let's eat. Everyone ate off paper plates and held up on their laps. Peter toyed with his fork. Honey, why aren't you eating? Asked Peter's mother. Peter looked up and blurted, I'm not sleeping in here with him. It's okay, son, Mr. Driscoll, said Mr. Driscoll. Garvey will be here. He'll make sure that Cole won't. You don't have to sleep in this cabin with me if you don't want to, Cole interrupted. That's right, Edwin said. I've brought along a tent. Cole can sleep outside until you change your mind. Peter eyed Cole with distrust, still refusing to eat. Half an hour later, he returned to the trawler with his parents to sleep. His food sat untouched. The next morning, Cole hiked alone to the pond. He soaked as long as he could, his calmness shaken by how terrified Peter was of him. How could he have wanted someone to feel that way? No matter how deeply he breathed, soaking failed to take away his troubled thoughts. When he returned to camp, he found that Edwin had already brought Peter and his parents in from the trawler. They stood on the shore saying goodbye to Garvey. Cole overheard Peter arguing with his parents. But Dad, I don't want to stay here alone with him, he pleaded. I've already explained you won't be alone, Garvey's here. Garvey's here. You'll be okay. This is something you must do. When Peter turned and saw Cole approaching, He turned away. Cole on on went on to the cabin. Before leaving, Edwin visited Cole in the cabin. Mr. and Mrs. Driscoll decided to leave this morning. He said they had planned to stay longer, but they realized they can't protect Peter from himself. After yesterday, I think they saw that you're no longer a problem. He's so scared of me, Cole said. Edwin poured a last splash of coffee in his mug and took a sip. Be as patient with Peter as we've been with you, he said. Don't crowd him. Peter's father appeared in the doorway. Can I have a word with you alone? He said to Cole. Cole glanced at Edwin, then followed Mr. Driscoll outside. They walked together up into the trees where they were out of earshot of everyone else. Mr. Driscoll turned and spoke in a warning voice. You've changed some since we saw you back in Minneapolis. I'll allow you that much. But I also want to tell you, we haven't forgot for a second what you did to our son. Not a day goes by that we don't think back to when you assaulted Peter. None of our lives will ever be the same again. Cole lowered his head. I don't like the idea of Peter being here one bit, Mr. Driscoll continued. We would never have forced him to come up here like this if we thought there was any other choice. After his second suicide attempt, Garvey convinced us that Peter needs to face you or be haunted by his memories the rest of his life. Mr. Driscoll poked a stiff finger at Cole's chest. If you do anything to hurt our son now, God help me. You'll go to jail until you won't. Do you understand me? Cole nodded, Mr. Driscoll. Mr. Driscoll, this island can help Peter. I know you still don't trust me, but that's the truth. I warned you, Mr. Driscoll said as he turned and headed for the boat. Cole returned to the cabin. What did Mr. Driscoll have to say? Edwin asked. He just wished me a good day, said Cole, avoiding Edwin's eyes. Yeah, I bet he did. He has a right to be mad at me, said Cole. Edwin set his cup on the table and headed out the door. Stay up here in the cabin until we're gone, he said. I'm leaving the skiff with Garvey in case you have any problems. I needed more water. Okay, where was I? Something else. Peter remained sitting on the shore as Garvey motored out to the trawler. Peter glanced fearfully over his shoulder as if he thought someone might attack him. Even after Garvey returned to shore, Peter remained sitting by the water, staring at the trawler motor from the bay. Garvey returned to the cabin. Cole got up from his seat by the window and went to the cooler. There were only 4 candy bars left. He picked out a Snickers bar and started out the door. Where are you going? Asked Garvey. I have to try something, Cole said. He walked slowly down across the rocks toward Peter. When he was 20 feet away, the sound of his footsteps made Peter look up. Stay away from me, Peter screamed, scrambling to get up. Cole backed away. Peter, I'm not going to hurt you. He held out the candy bar. I just brought you this. Get away, Peter screamed again. Cole crouched and set the Snickers bar on a rock, then turned and retreated to the cabin. He sat down again by the window. Give him time, said Garvey. During the next half hour, Peter glanced at the candy bar several times but didn't move toward it. Finally, Cole pulled out his schoolwork and began working on his math. After a full hour, he rocked back in the chair and rubbed at his eyes. "How are my parents?" he asked. Garvey set down a book, reading. "Your mother is doing great, and send her love. And sends her love. Your father has filed a lawsuit to have the abuse charges against him dropped." Oh, do you think? He'll also he's also filled for your custody. You mean he wants to take me away from my mom? I think it's a matter of pride. He thinks he can always get his way and doesn't want anyone or anything to win out over him. Cole traced the eraser of his pencil across the table. "I used to be like that." "I know you did." "Do you think he'll win?" asked Cole. Garvey shook his head. "Over my dead body." Cole set down his pencil. "I haven't talked to you in a long time," he said. "Thanks for standing by me and for everything else you've done. How can I ever pay you back?" Garvey pointed toward the shore. "Pay me back by not giving up on Peter." Cole looked out the window and saw that Peter was still sitting on the shore, but the Snickers bar was gone. Cole smiled. "I won't give up on him." When another 2 hours passed without Peter moving, Garvey went out to talk to him. Even after coaxing, Peter refused to enter the cabin until Cole left and set up a tent nearly 100 yards away. All afternoon, Cole sat in the tent. After dark, Garvey brought out some hot supper. "How long do I stay out here?" Cole asked, shivering as he wolfed down the warm food. "How long does somebody stay scared when they've been beaten senseless?" Garvey asked bluntly. "Good night." Cole watched Garvey return to the warm cabin. Garvey and Peter were sleeping, warm and comfortable, in a cabin he had made with his own two hands. Here he was, sleeping in a leaky tent in drizzle and wind. Instead of starting a fire in the pit, Cole crawled into his sleeping bag and went to sleep early. When he rose the next morning, he forced himself to crawl from the warm sleeping bag and pull on his stiff, cold clothes. Before heading to the pond, he knocked on the cabin door and called softly, "I'm going to the pond. Anybody going with me?" "What time is it?" Garvey asked, his voice hoarse. Cole realized he hadn't looked at a clock in nearly a year. "Time to go soak in the pond." "That's what time it is." "Give us 5 minutes," Garvey said. "I don't want to go soak in any pond," Peter mumbled. "We'll just go along and watch," Garvey said. "We'll be right back." This is brought to you by Rods Jr. 23, the official sponsor of SM School. And welcome back. Cole saw a lantern flicker in the window, and he heard a movement inside. Soon Garvey and Peter emerged from the cabin, both wearing their rubber boots and heavy jackets. Immediately, Cole set out through the dark, heavy mist, walking slowly so Peter could keep up. He heard the distinct shuffle of Peter's awkward footsteps behind him. When they reached the pond, Cole realized that he could use his undershirt. He stripped and entered the frigid water. Peter and Garvey sat down on the bank to watch. It was nearly the beginning of May, but still the icy water pierced Cole's skin like millions of tiny needles. He waded in, forcing steady breaths until he reached the rock ledge on the far side. Eyes closed, he heard Garvey's muffled voice speaking to Peter on the other side of the pond, but he couldn't make out what was said. Cole soaked until his breath felt chilled. Then he waded back to shore. His body had numbed to the bone, but it didn't rush. During the last year, he had grown accustomed to the icy water. No longer did he take this breath away as it had when he first came here with Edwin. "Do you guys want to carry the ancestor rock with me?" he asked as he wiped dry with his undershirt. "I've explained the ancestor rock to Peter," Garvey said. "We'll hike along and watch you." Cole picked up the large rock and started up the slope. He led the way, never pausing or looking back. By the time he reached the top, his bad arm ached, but he still breathed normally. Okay, that was terrible. Peter and Garvey both breathed hard, and heavy sweat bedded on their foreheads. "Now my ancestor rock becomes my angle," Cole explained, setting the big rock down. He turned to Peter. "You can push it down the hill if you want." Peter shook his head. "I'll do it then," Cole said, giving the rock a hard shove. As the rock tumbled down the hill, Cole closed his eyes. "When I hear that sound, I imagine my anger leaving," he explained. He waited until the crashing rock came to a stop at the bottom, remained motionless for a moment longer, then opened his eyes and started down the slope. Nobody spoke as they worked their way back downstream. "Do you need help with anything?" Garvey asked as they arrived back in camp. "I need to collect more firewood. I'm going to be staying outside much longer." "Do you feel like helping us collect firewood?" Garvey asked Peter. Peter turned and walked to the shore. It started off with the horizon not answering. "What's his problem?" Cole said. "You," Garvey replied. "I hope he knows we're collecting this firewood because of him," Cole whispered. Garvey answered quickly. "I hope you know that everybody's up here because of you." Cole began collecting wood. This chapter's so long. Day after day went by with no change in Peter. He refused to speak, doing whatever Garvey asked of him, but no more. He hiked along each morning to the pond, but never soaked. When he ate or walked, he moved zombie-like, in slow motion. Cole quit trying to make conversation with him. Nearly 2 full weeks after Peter's arrival, they all hiked up the hill one morning, with Cole carrying the ancestor rock. When he set the rock down at the top, he paused a moment to rest. Without warning, Peter reached down and gave the rock a hard shove. He stood with his lips bunched, watching until the rock crashed to the bottom. "That was a good push," Cole told him. The rest of the day, Peter remained withdrawn as usual, avoiding Cole. 3 days later, while Cole was cooking lunch in the fire pit, a rock struck the ground only feet away. Cole turned to Peter beside the shore, pitching stones into the water as if nothing had happened. Cole looked at the stone that had almost hit him and realized his hands were clenched into fists. He never told Garvey about the stone, but he kept a close eye on Peter. The next incident occurred with Garvey along 2 days later. They're hiking to the pond. It was early in the morning, and Cole had just jumped from one rock to another in the stream. All of a sudden, Peter bumped him hard from behind and sent him sprawling into the water. Soaking wet, Cole picked himself up. He found Peter watching him with a smirk. "Why did you do that?" Cole asked. "I didn't mean to bump you," Peter said insolently. Garvey said nothing as Cole continued into the pond. "I'm skipping my soak this morning," Cole said, "because I don't have any dry clothes to change into. But I'll still carry the ancestry rock." He turned to pick up the rock. He discovered Peter stripping off his clothes. The thin boy ran stumbling into the shallow water, holding his arms above his head. He waded forward, gasping and grunting loudly. Peter never made it across to the rocks. When the water reached his chest, he turned and waded back out. His teeth chattered as he dried himself with his undershirt. That morning after they returned to camp, Peter seemed more relaxed. He spoke to Cole without being spoken to first. "Don't you get frozen when you soak in the pond, Cole?" he asked. Cole smiled. "The first time I soaked last year, I thought my head would crack open and my toes would fall off. But you get used to it." "I don't want to get used to it," Peter muttered. He headed toward the cabin without looking back. As the days passed, the air grew warmer, but the rain came daily. Every morning, Cole hung his sleeping bag up in the cabin to dry off. "I'm going to give Edwin a leaky tent for Christmas," he complained to Garvey. Peter returned to being sullen, refusing to talk. "Really, Peter, really?" Garvey went about each day joking with both boys as usual. He kept delivering warm meals to Cole in the tent. Nearly a month had passed since Peter arrived on the island. Twice Edwin had stopped by to drop off supplies and check up on them. He never stayed for long. One day, a hard rain fell. Cole stayed inside the tent. Hour after hour, the steady downpour soaked through the seams, soaking Cole's sleeping bag and clothes. That afternoon, Garvey brought out food. He stared at Cole, huddled with his arms wrapped around his knees. "Dang! It's cold out here," Champ, he said. "I'm going back inside." Thanks, Cole muttered for several more hours. He sat and shivered. Outside, the rain kept falling. and lightning brought angry thunder to the sky. As night fell, a small stream of water trickled across the center of the floor. Everything Cole touched was wet, soggy, and cold. He prepared himself for a long night. Tonight he wouldn't sleep much. He hugged his arms to his chest and let his teeth chatter. He hadn't been this cold since he had nearly drowned trying to escape more than a year ago. Suddenly, he heard footsteps outside the tent. "It's warm in the cabin if you want," called Pierre's hesitant voice. And that's the end of chapter 26. Wow. But I think there is a sequel to this book, so but there should be an end to the story here. Okay. I'm probably a bit quieter. Further away from. Okay, so I'd title that chapter "Give It Time." The reason I'm going to do that is Peter made some huge progress um, trying to help Cole at the end. As well as trusting Cole as well. Cole also continued to try to help Peter. Okay, now we're gonna read chapter 27 through 29. Whoa, we're touching the spirit. Got me candy. This is Starburst. Ah, take freaking alcohol concluded. Chapter 27. Cole needed no second invitation under the cabin. Fumbling with the zipper, he crawled from the tent, sprang into a cold rain. When he opened the cabin door, he let himself inside. Garvey greeted him with a wink. Peter was seated on the bed, eyed Cole with distrust. Thanks, Peter, Cole said. After drying off and putting on new clothes, he heated water for hot chocolate. Anybody else want something hot? He asked. Garvey shook his head. How about you, Peter? Cole offered. Peter shrugged. And the water came to a boil. Cole made up 2 cups of hot chocolate, handed on to Peter, who took it hesitantly. Why haven't we seen the spirit bear yet? Peter said. Cole sat down at the table. We will. He blew out his steaming drink. I don't think there really is a spirit bear, Peter challenged. I didn't think so either when I first came here, Cole said. Even after I saw it, I thought I just imagined it. He pulled up his sleeve and to show the long scars from the mauling. But this wasn't my imagination. That could have been from any bear, Peter asked. Gary stood and was stretched. I'm hitting the sack. He pointed over by the door. Cole, you sleep there, and Peter, you sleep in the bed. He handed Cole a rolled up piece of foam. Here. It beats a hard floor. Use only one of my blankets tonight. Tomorrow we'll dry out your sleeping bag. Thanks, said Cole. Garvey stretched out his foam pad and positioned himself between Cole and Peter. Whoever stokes the fire during the night gets an extra pancake in the morning. He said, I'll do it, Cole said. He didn't mind if he had to stoke the fire for the next month. Felt good to be warm and dry again. As Garvey blew out the lantern, Cole pulled the blanket over himself and lay back on the foam mattress. This sure beat a leaky tent. He glanced over in the dark toward Peter. Thanks for letting me sleep inside, he said. Doesn't mean we're friends, Peter grumbled. Where was In the days that followed, whenever Garvey left the cabin or walked to the stream alone, Peter took the opportunity to get back at Cole in some way. Twice he walked in his muddy boots across Cole's sleeping bag. Oh my goodness. Really, Peter? He passed by the hooks where they hung jackets to dry. He knocked Cole's jacket to the floor. Night when he went up to go to the bathroom, door standing wide open, the training. He did the same. Close up close to the icy air. He had to get up, close the door, keep from freezing. The final straw came. Cole turned from a walk along the bed. He found the bear carving on his totem destroyed. Someone had taken a hatchet in half, carving completely away. A familiar rage burned the cycle. He confronted Peter in the cabin. Why'd you wreck my carving? He tried to keep his voice calm. Peter shrugged. Never really saw a spirit bear. Besides, what are you gonna do to me? Beat me up again? No, I'm not gonna beat you up. But can't you leave me alone? I suppose you've never but done anything to me, Peter said bluntly. Garvey listened quietly. Cole had some idea. I knew there was another big log. Around the point. That'll make a good totem. If you want, we can drag it here for you to make your own totem. Why would I want to do that? When you carve it, gives you time to think. I don't need to think. I need you out of my face. And besides, what would I carve? Anything you want. If you see a whale, carve a whale. See a spirit bear? You can carve a bear. I've learned from every animal I've carved. There's no spirit bear, Peter challenged again. It was just a regular black bear that hurt you. Probably an ugly one. Cole ignored the comment. I'll help you drag in a carving log if you want. Peter shrugged indifferently. But after lunch, he followed Cole and Garvey down the shore to see the log Cole carried a rope. With the three of them working, they floated the log back along the shoreline. By dark, they had maneuvered to get beside the cabin next to Cole's totem. So what should I carve first? Asked Peter. Whatever you want. What was the last animal you saw? Asked Cole. I saw a mouse in the cabin this morning. Cole smiled. Then tonight we'll dance the mouse dance. And tomorrow you can carve a mouse. I'm not going to dance a dumb mouse dance. Peter said, his voice thick with sarcasm. Every animal has something to teach us, Cole said. When Peter didn't answer, Cole motioned toward the trees. Let's collect firewood for the dance. You collect wood, Peter said, heading for the cabin. It was your idea. I'll help you, Garvey said. Cole nodded. I'll start the fire now, so we have good coals for cooking supper. Peter disappeared inside the cabin, refusing to come out until supper was ready. Then he sat out away from the fire as he sipped soup and ate one of the baked potatoes that Cole had wrapped in aluminum foil and cooked in the embers. After eating, Cole added more wood to the fire. He waited until flames licked high into the night air. Then stood and approached the fire. "I'll dance first," he announced. Slowly he moved around the fire, pretending to sniff like a mouse. Suddenly he scampered away from the fire as if frightened, then came back again, sniffing. Finally he pretended to eat a full meal. When he finished, he sat down. "My mouse dance taught me that a mouse is persistent and bold," he said. "Mice are survivors that make the best of wherever they are or whatever they have." Garvey nodded. "That's a good lesson. Now it's my turn." He stood and moved around the fire. Garvey's dance seemed to mesmerize Peter, who watched closely, following every movement. After Garvey finally sat down and finished explaining that mice aren't often noticed and see things, Peter stood and began dancing. His moves were jerky and unsure, as he kept glancing self-consciously over his shoulders. He continued to move. When he finished, he remained standing beside the fire without speaking. "So what did you learn from your dance?" asked Garvey. "I learned that I look like a stupid dork," Peter said sharply. He turned and ran into the cabin. Cole and Garvey remained by the fire. "He's never going to forgive me," Cole said. Garvey shrugged. "Think how much your arm and hip still hurt. Wounds of the spirit heal even slower." Cole thought about Garvey's words long after they went to bed. The next morning, he went out and began carving a mouse into his log instead of going to the pond. He didn't have the heart to carve another bear where Peter had destroyed the first one. The bear carving had taken nearly a week to finish. Reluctantly, Peter came out and began carving at his own log. By late afternoon, both boys had carved mice into their logs. Cole couldn't believe how real Peter's carving looked. "That's unbelievable," he said. "Where did you learn to carve?" "I think my mouse looks better than yours," said Peter. "It does," said Cole. "A carving totem isn't competition. Saying your carving is better is like saying your feelings are better." Peter smirked. "Mine are." He turned to Cole. "Did you really see a spirit bear?" Cole nodded and told how he had pulled a handful of white hair from the bear that mauled him, and then thrown it away. "The only reason I always had to prove things was because I knew I was a liar," he said. "I threw the white hair away because I decided I was tired of lying." Peter studied Cole as they went to the cabin for lunch. He sat quietly through the whole meal. After lunch, he returned there. After lunch, he returned to his log and kept carving. I want to be by myself, he told Cole. Cole and Garvey looked at each other, but agreed to take a long hike outside the bay to look for whales. It was nearly dark by the time they returned, hiking back around the bay in the gathering dusk. Cole could see Peter still carving, but on his, not on his own lawn. That jerk, Cole said. He's messing with my totem again. Hey, he screamed, breathing into a run. What are you doing? Peter stepped back from the log as Cole came running down. Cole stared down, dumbfounded. In the same spot where the bear carving had been destroyed, Peter had almost completed another bear. The new carving was so real. The bear looked as if it was stepping out of the log. That's incredible, Cole exclaimed. Hope you didn't mind, Peter said. Could you teach me how to carve like that? Cole asked. Peter shrugged. Depends on if you want to learn. He turned away and headed into the cabin. Okay, that's the end of chapter 27. 2 chapters to go. But first, let's recap chapter 27 quickly. I need some tissue. But one left. Okay. Let's look at the chapter in a whole. So, it really started. It's really the same as the. It was probably, I think, a similar structure to the last chapter, where it seemed that Peter was very good at the end, but it started like there's nothing going between them. So I'd say, what could you tell? I'd say give him a chance. Give Peter a chance. Because Peter has amazing talents. Has amazing talents that Cole is jealous for. What time do I have to leave? Let's see. Okay, so 11. We got a half hour. Cole is jealous for. Peter can also accomplish things that Cole could not. This early into the island. Yeah, I lost the book, so I don't know if I can finish this. So I think I only have a couple more pages. It's only like 8 pages, but I don't know if I can do it. I have like a headache. I might have to split this into 2 parts. Yeah, we might have to do that. We'll end it here though, if we do. I'm just gonna read this. I need it. Some food right now. As summer came to the north country, group visits to the pond had become a daily event. Until the day Peter announced, "This morning, just Cole and I should go." Garvey had already pulled on his pants. "Are you sure?" he asked. Peter nodded. Garvey turned to Cole. "What do you think?" Cole and Peter shrugged. "Doesn't matter to me." Again, Garvey asked, "Are you guys sure you're ready for this?" "Yes," Peter said, his voice firm. Cole nodded, but found himself a little scared. "Okay, I'll get soaked," Garvey said. Cole packed their towels in his backpack. He paused, then slipped in the towel. He and Peter let themselves out the door into the breaking dawn and worked their way along the shore. Is this the last chapter? Is there chapter 29? I think this is the last one. Okay. Are only 28 chapters, right? Yeah, 28 is the last one. Apparently, I thought they were 29. Their way along the shore. Neither of them spoke as they reached the river. Started wading upstream toward the pond. Peter stumbled along angrily, his fists clenched. An awkward and thick silence hung between them. When they finally reached the pond, Cole couldn't stand the silence anymore. "I'm glad we came along," he said. "It's time we were friends." He held out his hand to Peter, but Peter knocked his hand away. "I'll never be friends with you. Look, Peter, I didn't mean to hurt you." Peter said Cole, knocking him off balance. "You beat me up and smashed my head on the sidewalk until I was bleeding. Then he had to pull you off me." "What do you mean? You didn't mean to hurt me?" His eyes were wild. Oh, Cole has regained had regained his balance. What I mean is, I didn't mean to get so angry. I didn't decide all of a sudden to get mad and hurt you. And so now everything is supposed to be alright. Pierre shoved Cole again with both hands. No, it's just that everything will be better when my headaches go away, when I sleep at night, and my bad dreams quit. Pierre's eyes welled up with tears. I can't walk anymore without stumbling. Sometimes I can't think straight, and my words don't come out right. He shook a fist in Cole's face. You don't really care about me. You just want to get off the island. That's all you want. A year ago, that was true, Cole said. But not anymore. You haven't changed, Peter challenged, his voice growing louder. You would beat me up again if you had the chance. Cole shook his head. I could beat you up right now, but I won't. You won't because you're scared of Garvey, Peter said. And because you're scared of jail. Again, Cole shook his head. It's because I've had a lot of time to think. And besides, if you thought I might beat you up again, why did you tell Garvey you wanted to come alone with me this morning? Peter bent down, pretending to tie his boot. You have to believe me, Cole pleaded. I'll do anything to help you and make things right. It doesn't do any good to stay mad. Suddenly, Peter sprang up, shoving Cole hard and sending him stumbling to the ground. Stay away from me. I don't need your help, he screamed. I'm so sorry, Cole repeated. You're not sorry for anything, Peter shouted. He kicked at the ground, pelting Cole with gravel and dirt. Shielding his face, Cole got to his feet, but Peter stormed forward and shoved him again. Why don't you beat me up again? I don't care anymore. Cole quietly stood his ground. Maybe you're scared of me, Peter said, swinging his fist. Struck Cole squarely in the face. Go ahead, hit me. You trying to kill me? I don't care anymore. You do care, Cole said, shielding his face. I'm not ever going to hurt you again. Can't you see that? Liar, shouted Peter. He hit Cole hard in the gut. You're scared of me. When Cole refused to fight back, Peter grew bolder, and again he struck Cole with his bare fists. Cole raised his arms to try to ward off the blows, but he didn't fight back. Nor did he run. This only made Peter angrier. He hit harder. As the blows pummeled him, Cole's own anger smoldered. He grabbed deep breaths. He would not get angry. Not now. As he tried to back away, he stumbled and fell. Peter was on him instantly, hitting and yelling. All Cole could do was curl his knees and chest to try to cover his face. Then Peter started kicking him. To Cole it felt as if a sledgehammer was striking his chest and arms. He rolled away, but the next kick caught him in the face and slammed his head back. He tasted blood. The world spun in lazy circles. The hammer kept hitting. Stop, Cole gasped. Please stop. Then fight, you coward! Peter screamed like a madman. I'm not going to fight you, Cole shouted as the next anger kick to his stomach took his breath away. Then the kicking stopped. Cole opened his eyes in time to see Peter sink to his knees, and him crying to his knees next to him, crying. Peter's body shook with great hiccups, sobbing. Are you okay, Cole asked, grimacing from his pain. I'm scared, cried Peter. I'm so scared. My thinking gets all mixed up, and I feel the whole world is falling on me. Wincing, Cole sat up. I can make you believe that you don't ever have to be scared again. You just say that, Peter son. Peter, I'm not a bad person. I got mad at you because I was really mad at myself. Oh, okay, well, phew. I thought my dad beat me because I was worthless. Cole paused. The dances, carving the totem, carrying the ancestor rock, touching the spirit bearer. It was all the same thing. It was finding out who I really was. You're a jerk, Peter sobbed. That's what you are. Cole fought back his own tears. I'm part of some big circle that I don't understand. And so are you. Life, death, good and bad. Everything is a part of that circle. When I hurt you, I hurt myself too. I don't think I'll ever heal from what I did to you. But I'm sorry, Peter. I really am sorry. Peter knelt crying. His body bent forward. Cole, not knowing what else to do, wrapped his arms around Peter's shoulders. For a long time, Peter let himself be hugged, leaning back into Cole. And that was when it appeared, not 20 feet away. It stood watching them. The spirit bear. Yep. I sort of knew that was okay. Look, Cole whispered, letting go, Peter. Peter still sniffed, staring down at the ground. Look, Cole whispered louder, nudging him. It's the spirit bear. Peter raised his head and stared, his mouth open in as Mason. Will it hurt us? He whispered. No, Cole whispered back. We're not threatening it. You and I have both become invisible. Peter looked at Cole, puzzled. Never mind, I'll explain later. Cole whispered for a minute. Then the bear stood frozen in place, gazing at them. The chattering of a squirrel nearly echoed like the thunder in the silence. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the spirit bear swung its massive head around and ambled away, vanishing ghost-like into the trees. Peter drew in a deep breath and walking from the room. Did we really see what I just saw? What I think we just saw? Calls him around and started. They say there aren't any spirit bears here. But I saw one, Peter insisted. Anyone believe us? I don't matter. It doesn't matter what other people think or do. It's what you do. That morning, as Cole and Peter soaked, a warm silence blanketed the pond. Afterward, they found a second ancestor rock so both could roll their anger down the slope. When they headed back to camp, Cole's face was sore, and he hugged at his sore ribs with an elbow. Are you okay, Peter asked. Cole looked at his numb and swollen lips and grimaced. Still, he smiled. I'd hate to go through that again. Peter walked without speaking. When they arrived back at camp, Cole broke the silence, standing beside the totem. He explained to Peter that being invisible was being part of life's circle and accepting it. This morning, when we forgave each other, we also forgave ourselves. We allowed ourselves to become a part of the big circle. That's why we saw the spur bar. What makes you think I forgave Peter? Said. Cole pulled off the backpack. I have something I want to give you, said Jim. He took out the folded towel. Garvey gave me this to me as a symbol of friendship. And to show he trusted me. He handed the towel to Peter. Now I want you to have it. Are you saying you trust me? Peter asked. Cole nodded. I hope someday you'll trust me. Peter stared at the towel he spoke. I want to help you carve the blank space on your totem. The space you saved for your dance of anger. Cole hesitated. Okay. He ran to the cabin, returned for the knives. For the next 2 hours, Cole and Peter carved together. When they finished, Cole hollered for Garvey to come from the cabin and take a look at the nearly perfect circle that now completed the totem. When Garvey joined the boys, he stared down the log and at what they carved. He carved a perfect circle. He said, a soft smile tugging at him. Why a circle? Cole and Peter glanced nervously at each other, neither wanting to speak. Could it be because every part of the circle is both a beginning and an end? Garvey asked, and everything is one? Cole shrugged awkwardly and grinned at Cole. Circle is all I could teach him to carve. Cole smiled and nodded. I'm a slow learner. I'm lucky. That has done it for the whole book. Everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. Oh, get some wrap up coming up. Oh, I got like 5 minutes till the next show. It's telecast. I'm probably delayed it on. I just want to beat somebody up with Cole did. Peter. But I enjoyed that book. It was a very like, just one of those books that you feel like you're in the book, okay? But I'm not feeling so well. So I'm gonna do all the recap without you guys. But I hope you come back to SS School in 2017 as we start on January 3rd, a Tuesday, here on SNS. Peace out. I hope you have a great weekend. Peace.